one of the most important things that we can do is actually tune into our patterns that don't serve us anymore. That
you said that really well.
We think, thank you, that we think are just who we are. Like a lot of times we're like, well, it's just who I am, and then we fill in the blank. But often when we say, well, it's just who I am, that thing is actually a pattern that really doesn't serve you, that could be worked on.
Yeah.
So think about that. Like, think about like the good stuff and the not so great stuff. And the not so great stuff, is it like, what can you do with that? How can you make it better? What can you adjust? And then you can start healing. You don't necessarily, first of all, there's plenty of options for like teletherapy. There's also fantastic books. And then if you're the praying, meditating type, that's a great thing to do. Music, nature, like these are all things that are still accessible to us. And actually just dig deep and start changing the things about you that maybe we said for too long, it's just who I am. But it doesn't have to be just who you are if it's actually not serving you and the people you're trying to build relationships with. I feel like we could talk another, like you said, we could talk another hour or two about it, and maybe that's something.
And get closer, but really not that far at all, because it is such an intense thing.
Yeah.
We have a few more minutes left, so I'm going to spend it talking about you, season 3.
Okay.
No, I know nothing about it.
Well, yeah, but one of the things that now this is like an awkward shift back, but I'm going to mention it really quick. For people who are wondering, like, how do you have these vulnerable conversations? There's a million, like, you can Google it. What are vulnerable conversations to have? There's even a game actually that just came out recently by We Are Not Really Strangers. I don't know if you've heard of them.
A game?
Yeah, so it's a
really?
card game. Yeah, it's a card game. So you can find them on Instagram. It's called, they're not paying me to say this, but they're on Instagram, and it's called
They're paying me. No, they couldn't pay me enough. Anyway, go on.
So it's called We Are Not Really Strangers, and then there's a card game that has basically hundreds of prompts for vulnerable conversations. It's phenomenal.
And you've seen it. It's legit. It's like you really
feet away from me. Yeah.
Oh.
And it's just this beautiful way of having really deeper conversations that force you out of the audition space. It's not about auditioning, it's about reflecting.
And can I just underline for people who are kind of joining and coming in and out, the audition space is this idea that when we're dating, that we really are trying to impress one another and kind of omit. We're trying to hide and veil our true nature just to present what we think is what the other person wants.
Not with bad intention.
Yeah, no. Yeah, totally. I mean, and here, I would even say practically, even if you want to game like that, it's not a good idea, because guess what? You can't predict what another person wants.
Absolutely.
And of course, there's probably a lot of people who would beg to differ, but that's...
But you're basing that prediction based on their presentation of themselves.
Yeah. Or you're basing it on their lowest nature, the most animal kind of like predictable chemical part of us, which, is there, but it's not all we are.
Right.
Somebody just said we have to display our best self, and I feel you, but what's the distinction? Yeah.
I think you have to display yourself, not just your best self.
Right.
Yourself.
Which is your best self?
Oh,
that is your best self. No, but it's yeah. I mean, I don't want to.
People have to know what they're signing up for before they marry you and potentially have children with you or spend the rest of their life with you. Like, you've got to see how the other person is in their not so great moments to see if you can handle that. Otherwise, you don't know what you're signing up for. You don't know the partner that you have as you like weather life's difficulties together. You don't know, because you haven't explored it. So go to an escape room, damn it.
Go to an escape room. I just want to give a shout out to your parents, who are from different parts of the world, came together and were able to demonstrate to you how people do these things you're talking about.
Thank you. I think
because I love my parents, but they did not do that. Hey mom, hey dad. Love you both. They did many things, but not that. And look, I mean, it's hard, actually. It's very hard. A lot of people are struggling to do that. So, I think we're about finished here. I wish there was a way to keep this going. I think it will be. Let me just give a bump to something that I'm spontaneously doing. Is this every couple of days? I'm going to be having a different person on, and in time, because Nura and I are friends, and we'll have her back on. We're gonna keep doing these kinds of things.
Yay.
Shout out to Anis K, who kind of like spurred me into finally doing this on Instagram.